feel. Everybody always see what it's like. Leaving you to be high. I don't mind. Me and this is so this is making money. Alright.
Hey guys, it's Lisa here, aka 80s Child, coming at you with another wicked review of, you guessed it, as promised, Suits Season 9, Episode 1. Everything's changed. And you have no idea how much shit has changed. As you can tell from my background picture, shabang bang, yo! We are rolling. Well, we already knew based on what happened at the end of Season 8, that it was just going to keep rolling from there. So, as promised, Season 9 opens later that evening, directly after Episode 16 of Season 8. First scene, Harvey and Donna getting the groove on, or well, post getting their groove on. Quite awesome. And they're kind of in this like blissful pod where nothing exists around them. And they're so caught up in the moment, it's ridiculous. Like, they know that the firm is about to go down in flames, but at that moment, that was the last thing that was on their mind. So there was a lot of really great Darby scenes in this episode. Like, it was everything we'd ever wanted over 8 years worth of Darby all smooshed into one episode. And you know what? I don't think it's going to end there because they're not breaking up. We already know this. Course has already told us that is tried and true. This is what they want. And Harvey is finally in the right place for being in a committed, long-term, loving relationship where he's able to be vulnerable and open, which is not what he was able to be before. Even though he was with he wasn't entirely open with her. She was more open with him because she knew everything about him, which I think kind of made him feel more vulnerable than he wanted to be. But anyway, let's not talk about that. So, yeah, everything is awesome. Everything is awesome. At least in their little Darby world, in that little bubble that they're in, that you wish they don't have to wake that they don't have to wake up from. But eventually the sun will rise, the morning will come, and things will have to be dealt with because this is only the next day after what happened at the hearing, after Robert took one for the team. And this is something that's going to have far-reaching repercussions, because you have to remember, he is not the first person to go down in this firm. Before him, you have Jessica, who was disbarred, at least in the state of New York, for knowingly hiring someone who had never practiced law before and lying about it. And then you had a junior partner, or actually at the time he was an associate, go to jail for 2 years for fraud, for practicing law without a license. So yeah, the firm has had a lot of hard knocks, a lot of hits. They've come back from them all, but this is the worst one, because that whole 3 strikes you're out rule. First was Mike, second was Jessica. Robert's number 3. You're out. The legal community is no longer going to stand for it. I mean, I know that the legal community, at least over there, has had their problems and done a lot of stupid shit before, but this is the worst of the worst. So you have to remember, over the 8 seasons of the show, people have been gunning for Harvey and gunning for this firm for a while now, and just looking for any excuse to take them down, because they know, the SEC knows, the lawyers that represent them know. A lot of people know that they've done some shady shit, but they always manage to crawl out from under it and get away with it, either by sacrificing their clients or sacrificing a partner or getting rid of whoever the bad apple is. But when the bad apple is up at the very top, that's not something you can generally fix. So anyway, they're in this cute little bubble and everything's awesome. And it's almost like they can't quite believe that they're where they're at. They're still like trying to, because it's not like this has not happened between them before, but that was a long time ago, and they were in a much different emotional, mental place than they are now. Now it's like it's comfortable, and even though it's new, at the same time it's not, because I think in their minds they've always kind of been together, even though they weren't until now. They're very complicated, and at the same time very simple. So the next morning, they're trying to talk about it, and I honestly thought they were going to address the elephant in the room called Thomas, but that comes later. She's really wanting to know what motivated him to come over the night before, and he's about to tell her, but then ding ding, Lewis shows up. He's been texting Donna all morning, trying to talk about what they're going to do about the situation with Robert Zane. And that has got to be the single funniest suit scene I have seen in 9 years worth of watching the show. Oh my God. The double entendres were ridiculous. I know Lewis is a smart man. Like, logically smart, book smart, but sometimes he's kind of common sense stupid and doesn't see what's right in front of his face. Although I'm sure he'll figure it out eventually. But you know what? I understand why he might have missed it, because at the time he was so laser focused on figuring out what they were going to do about Robert that was the last thing on his mind. And the idea that, I mean, especially having known them for so long and knowing that they're, not that way, it's not something he would have ever expected. So, and he's so laser focused on dealing with Robert that, like I said, it's the last thing on his mind. So, he's like, oh, you guys were up all night banging it out, trying to deal with this Robert thing. And they're like, yeah, all night. And you just want to say something so bad because it's so damn funny. But anyway, he has written a press release to explain what has happened. Donna agrees with it. More double entendres ensue. And Lewis tells Harvey the first thing he's got to do when he gets to work is make sure that Robert's clients are locked up, because if they see that Robert's gone, they're going to want to jump ship. And that's the last thing that they need, because it will only make a bad situation worse if they lose clients. They have to pull together and make sure to comfort the clients and hold hands a bit and make sure the clients understand they're not going anywhere, that the firm is still there. Even though Robert's gone, they're still there. So Harvey's on it, At the same time, Alex is out for a morning jog before work, and who should bump into him but a member of the New York Bar Association. And the New York Bar is not liking what they're seeing in this firm. They're not trying to take them down. They're trying to make sure that their practices are ethical. See, everybody thinks, oh, they're the villain, they're nasty, but they're not really that bad. Their whole shtick, their whole deal is making sure that lawyers practice ethically. That's all they want to see. And like Corshet said, it's not a case of do they want to take them down. It's not a case of do they want to take over. It's already done. Like, they're there and they're not going away. They gave Alex the opportunity to make amends by taking Robert Zane's name off the wall. They assumed this was going to happen like that. Although, if you ask me, I think they were being a little too hardcore, because it literally just happened the day before. They haven't even given them 24 hours to breathe and adjust. They're immediately assuming that the name is going to come right off the wall and that's it. And I'm like, whoa, y'all need to back the fuck up. Give them 24 hours to breathe and to get their heads back on straight. Shit. But he says that if the name isn't taken down soon, trouble's going to ensue. He's pretty much told him, if you don't take it down, we will take it down for you. Although they don't have the right, they don't have the ability, they don't have the authority to do that. And this is what Alex finds out later. So everyone is pretty much in agreement at first that Robert's name is not coming down. Because they all know, well, most of them know. Alex knows, Harvey knows, and Donna knows that Robert didn't do this. And it would not be fair to impugn Robert's good name and take a shit on him and his legacy by agreeing to take his name down as if he really did do this when he didn't. So they're going to try like hell to keep all of his clients. Katrina doesn't know initially that Robert did not do this, but she can see the forest for the trees, you know. She's not blind. She can see what's happening in front of her face. The clients are dropping like flies, and the situation's getting worse. She knows that if his name is not taken off the wall soon, the firm is going to implode. So she goes to Alex and says to him, you know, I don't want to do this. I don't want to take his name off the wall, but we don't really have a choice. It's got to be done. If we don't, we're going to lose everything. Alex does not want to hear it. He doesn't want to, because he knows that Robert wasn't guilty. He doesn't want to sully his friend's name. So they're determined to figure out some other way. So Harvey gets to work, and Samantha is already there because she got a call. Katrina was actually the first one in the office that morning. Katrina found this out before anybody else. That's why she's a little bit more amenable to taking Robert's name off the wall. She was the one that found out that the clients were skipping out. They've already lost some. She calls Samantha, who's at the gym, and says, look, you need to come in right now, because this is a big deal. Like, down in flames, dumpster fire, oh my God, we're fucked, big deal. So she drops everything, she comes in, and so she and Katrina are already there by the time Harvey comes into work. And Harvey's like, I don't have time to talk to you right now, we need to, figure this shit out. And she's like, yeah, I know, because like 5 of his clients have already left, and more are jumping ship. So they're trying to figure out, like, how could they even know what happened? It's less than 24 hours since the board convened. How could they already know about this unless someone poisoned the well? It's the only thing that makes sense, is that someone had to have leaked this information about Robert before the decision was made, or maybe like right after. And there's only one person that would have reason to go after him, because they weren't going after Harvey. They were going after Robert. And that's the person that blackmailed him. Caldor of the law firm Rand and Caldor, who has famously been absolutely hateful of Robert since Robert decided to leave. Rand, Caldor, and Zane, or Zane, Rand, and Caldor, however it's called, and merged with Harvey's firm. He felt like he got fucked. He lost his clientele because Robert took all his clients with him, and even some of the employees there, and yeah, he was pissed. So he's been blackmailing Robert ever since and trying to do it. He's pretty much like Zane's idea of Hardman in a sort of way. So Samantha and Harvey decide to confront him directly, which they do, and you gotta love Samantha's badassness. He tries to talk down to her like she's nothing because she's a woman, and, giving her pet names and shit, and just all kinds of stupid crap. And then she grabs him by the throat and throws him into he's at ice skating rink, and she throws him into the glass. She pushes him up against the glass by his throat, which was totally awesome. Because they knew that if they were going to take on Caldor, they had to present a united front. They couldn't let any of his potential offers or anything that he said drive a wedge. That's what he was trying to do, was drive a wedge by saying, you know, hey, I'll back down, but you need to give me 10 of your clients. Because he's automatically assuming that if he shits all over Harvey, that Samantha is not going to stand up for Harvey, that she's just going to let him twist in the wind. But Samantha has actually learned a lot from being at this firm, and she now considers them her family, honestly. And she's not going to let them go. She's not going to let anybody. I've seen that when Samantha considers you family, no one gets between her and her family and the people that she cares about. So she's going to beat the fuck out of him before she lets him talk shit about Harvey. Even if what he's saying about Harvey isn't necessarily wrong. Asshole-ish maybe, but not entirely wrong. She's not going to let him talk shit. But then when he gives her an offer saying that he will back off of Robert and of their clients if Harvey gives him 10 of his clients, it kind of sets her back a bit. She's like, well, she really has to think for a second about whether or not she's going to stand by his side and not let this bone that he's thrust him apart. And Harvey's looking at her like, are you serious? Come on, back me up here, sister. At first she's like, no, I'm not giving you shit because you're a fucking asshole. So then after that, that's when, you know, she grabs him by the throat and pushes him into the glass. So when they realize that Caldor is not going to be moved unless he gets the clients, they start to realize they have to look at this from a different way. She looking at her to tell that Louis is worried. She's making him matzo bra, which I guess is a meal that he eats when he's worried. And she said she tries to appeal to the logical part of him by saying, look, I know you don't want to do this, but at the end of the day, you might not have a choice. If it comes down to it, you're going to have to take his name off the wall. I know it will hurt you. I know it'll feel like a betrayal. But it's either that or the firm is going to implode. I mean, your choices right now are limited. And you could tell he knows she's right. Like, he knows in his heart of hearts that she's right. But he's so determined not to betray Robert, you know, and not to betray his firm, the family, this firm he considers his family. He's going to do whatever he has to salvage it. So Harvey and Samantha go out and about trying to shore up Robert's clientele. It doesn't work. Words are not going to help at this point. It doesn't matter how suave or how charismatic either of them are. The clients just aren't biting. They don't care anymore. They have already seen the firm, you know, in a dumpster fire more than once, and this thing happening with Robert, it's just like the straw that broke the camel's back. And so they require not only his name being taken off the wall, but they don't trust Samantha either, because Samantha came over from his firm. They want her gone. At least one of the clients does. And she's like, I'm not leaving. What the hell? So that right there is the end of them attempting any of that. They can already tell that his clients are not going to be moved. At least not when they're trying to soft shoe anyway. So that night, we were expecting Harvey to go over to Donna's, but he didn't, because he was so busy working trying to fix this mess. But he does call her, and there's another cute little scene where they talk, and he says to her, he doesn't say that he loves her, but he says he loves certain things about her. I think he's working up to actually saying the words. It will happen. It will happen. But he loves the fact about her that she gets him, that she understands him, that, you know, she can already predict his needs or what he's going to think or what he's going to say. And that's just because they know each other so well. You know? So this is the conversation where because before she was on the phone with Harvey, she called Thomas that afternoon. She wanted to have lunch with him, I guess, just to make sure. I mean, they knew it was over because I don't know if any of you saw, but there was a deleted scene from episode 8, season 8, episode 16. There was a deleted scene where there was actually a breakup. It occurred that night before Harvey got there. So there's nothing that Harvey has to worry about, but I think she called him because she wanted to make sure that everything was okay, that there was no hard feelings, that they were on the same page, and that there wasn't she was also trying to say she was sorry for screwing things up and for not being more honest, not only with him, but with herself. Because he was a really nice guy, a bit too honest at times, but he was a decent guy. He didn't deserve getting strung out, He had dodged her calls all day because he didn't really want to deal with it. But he said that he understood and there was no further need to hash it out, Done is done. And from there they said their goodbyes, and that was it. And then Harvey called. So she felt the need to make sure he understood, that they were on the same page, that things with Robert were over. Because she didn't want there to be any kind of elephant in the room. She didn't want him to worry. And she certainly didn't want to put him in the position, after everything with his mother. She didn't want there to be any questions or any doubts. And at first, Harvey was kind of freaked out. He was like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. I just came over and the thought didn't even cross my mind. Oh my God. And she's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Before he can even say anything else, she's like, Harvey, relax. It's over. It was over before you even got there. You did nothing wrong, I promise. And it's a good thing that this was hashed out early on, because the last thing that any of us would need was Harvey freaking out about something like that. Especially, knowing the way that Harvey feels about that stuff. The last thing you would need is, some kind of misunderstanding like that. That could sink a ship before it even gets floating. So he wants to come over, but too busy dealing with all this stuff. And by the time he was able to call her, it was really late. So she said, it's okay. This is more important for right now. And our bubble's still going to be there. We'll be fine. So while he's there, Samantha shows up and they're trying to, figure things out. He wants to make sure that she's okay because he knows that she's hurting. He knows her heart is broken to lose Robert, who was her friend, her mentor, and in a lot of ways like her father. So he's trying to make sure she's okay, and she's like, yeah, I'm fine. But you left so quickly last night. I was wondering, where did you go? He first doesn't know what to say because they had agreed, he and Donna had agreed that morning before they came in that they weren't going to keep it a secret. They were going to tell their friends, but they just wanted to wait till after the whole situation with Zane was over, because their minds are laser focused on dealing with this, and the last thing they need is shit being compounded with their personal lives. So they were going to let the cat out of the bag, so to speak, after things cooled off. And at first she was like, oh, you were upset too, huh? You wanted to be alone, I get it. And that's what she genuinely thought. He could have corrected her. You could tell seriously by the look on his face that he did not want to leave her in this lurch. And he wanted to tell her the truth. He did not like keeping the truth from her. He did not like lying, period. The look on his face was one of genuine, I am an asshole, I'm a piece of shit, I hate myself right now. But he made a promise to Donna because that was what Donna wanted. But you can tell the look on his face that he wishes that he hadn't. He wanted to tell the truth because she needed to know. After everything that happened, her more than anybody else had the right to know to put her mind at ease. But he let her go on believing that, and he kind of lied too. So the next day, everyone comes to work, and Alex gets a phone call from the bar association again, saying that if the situation is not gotten under control, if Zane's name is not taken down off that wall, then they're going to have to put their foot down and take Lewis Litt down as managing partner. They offer Alex the opportunity to become the managing partner instead and to fix this whole mess, but he's like, I'm not going to betray Lewis. Are you fucking kidding me right now? Go to hell. I'm like, no. Are you serious? The bar association is not kidding. Like, they are not kidding. Either this shit gets fixed or the boot's gonna go up the ass. So this is when Katrina comes to Alex and it's like, look, I know you don't want to do this. I know how much Robert means to you. I know that you want to salvage his good name. And this is when Alex comes clean with her and tells her, look, he didn't do this. He did not do this. He doesn't deserve this shit. Which Katrina kind of already knew, having known Robert before, having worked for him in the past. She knew the type of person that he was. So she understands where he's coming from, but she also understands if something isn't done, that there's not going to be a firm left to salvage because it's going to explode. Like everybody will leave. There's another problem I forgot to mention in the scene where Lewis and Sheila are having dinner together. Sheila breaks the news to Lewis that the situation is even worse. It's not just the clients that are dropping. The Harvard graduates who are supposed to be signing up for interviews to become associates, once they heard what happened with Zane, they all withdrew their internship applications. And if you can't call associates every year, you're not gonna have a firm left. Clients drop out, your associates won't work. It's gonna be like what happened with Jessica, only worse. Because at least with Jessica, they were able to keep their clientele. But this time. So Lewis puts a call into the ethics professor who works at Harvard, the one that they had actually that they'd actually defended in the past. And they said to him, and he said, look, we helped you out of a huge jam. You owe us. Fix this shit. He offers to Lewis, says, look, how about I know you're having an ethics seminar in a few days. Why don't you bring up to the Harvard board to have you come down there as a keynote speaker? Maybe I can put some things to rest, try to explain some things and get the associates back. The Harvard board doesn't want him there because they already know, he's bad blood and but the ethics professor does understand he kind of owes him for them helping him in the past. So he's like, okay, I will try. I can't promise anything, but I will try. So when he calls him back later, he says, I tried, and they're kind of okay with you coming, but honestly, I don't think it would do any good because the associates don't care about your words. They look at actions. If you continue to keep Zane's name up on that wall, they're not going to care what you say. So Katrina is able to convince Alex that even though it's not something he wants to do, he doesn't have a choice. At this point, there's no other way out. So they know if Alex votes for it, and if Lewis votes for it, that's 2 votes. They only need 1 more. So they're fairly certain that, well, they know Samantha would never vote for it. Donna probably won't. because Donna knows what actually happened, and Donna feels responsible, so she's not going to do it. So the only other vote they have is Harvey. Honestly, if you're asking me, I think if they could convince Donna and get her vote, they could convince Harvey. Because Donna can convince Harvey. They should have focused on Donna, but anyway. So Alex goes and talks to Lewis, and at first Lewis is like, no fucking way. There's just, no, absolutely not. But at the end of the day, he's able to make Lewis to understand that it's not something they want to do, it's something they have to do. They don't have a choice. And it's either that or they will literally lose the firm. And there's no crawling back from this one. So Lewis agrees, and now it's up to convincing Harvey. So before any of this happens, though, there's a situation between Lewis and Samantha. They're discussing getting Robert's clients back. And Lewis tells her not to worry about, because she feels as though she has some concerns that Harvey's not trying hard enough, that his head isn't in the game, he seems distracted. And he's like, oh no, I mean, I saw, at first I wasn't sure either because I couldn't get a hold of Harvey all night, but when I went over to Donna's this morning, he was already there. They'd been there all night and they were tacking it head on the entire night. And that's when Samantha's like, oh, where are they now? Of course they were. Sure, they were. And that's when she realizes that Harvey lied to her. And she definitely gets in his face. It's not just the fact that he didn't tell her the truth. It's the fact that she lost someone that she cared about, that she loved very much. And he took a hit to save the firm because of what Harvey did, because of what Donna did. So while she's there, depressed, dejected, lost, alone, a total mess, not knowing what's next, what to do, how to go on, he's off partying with his girlfriend. So you can, in her mind, you can kind of understand her being pissed. So they get into it, kind of, and when Harvey talks to Donna about it, she says to him, look, she's got a right to be angry. She's lost a lot. She's hurting. Right now, that anger's directed at you for a good reason. Why don't you go and talk to her? She's probably at the gym hashing it out. Let her beat your ass. Well, actually, you wouldn't even be letting her. This woman has a military, because he assumes he can kick her ass solely for the fact that she's a woman. But he forgets this woman is a badass. She has military training. She literally put Lewis's mugger on his fucking face. So, yeah. In any way, they'd probably be evenly matched. She's like, look, she needs this. She needs the opportunity to get her aggression out, even if that's aimed at you. So he shows up the next morning, and at first she doesn't want to fight him. She's like, leave me alone. I don't want to deal with the shit. But then they hash it out, like, big time. And there's no black eyes or anything, but they definitely beat the shit out of each other pretty well. But it helps Samantha to get her aggression out and help her deal with that anger and that loss. So they manage to let bygones be bygones, and they come out of it united, I guess. So Harvey realizes that in order to save the firm, he's going to have to take the first step and make the ultimate gesture. You know, it's the only way. So he goes to Caldor with the files for his 10 clients, and he's like, here you go. You wanted it, you got it. Now when you back off so we can pick our shit back up. You know, if that's the way that you want it, Harvey. So hopefully that's the last we've seen of him. He goes back to the firm, and this is when the ultimate discussion happens about whether or not Zane was going to come off of the wall. Harvey is talking to Lewis about it, and at first Harvey's like, whoa, hold on, I'm not taking his name off the wall. I made a promise to Samantha, and I'm not going to go back on my word. I can't do that. But the way that Lewis is talking to Harvey about how they don't have a choice at this point because of the board, he's very close to convincing, he almost convinces him. Like, I was fairly certain that if Samantha hadn't walked in at that point, that he might have agreed. But Samantha walked in while they were talking, and she's like, I'm sorry, excuse me, what? Are you telling me that you're going to take Zane's name off the wall after you and I had a fucking deal? That we were going to fight for his clients and not let this fucking happen? He's like, hey, this was not my choice. This was something that they decided. I already told you I was not backing off on our promise. And she gets up in Lewis's face, and he tries to explain to her, look, the board is not going to back down. We don't have a choice. We're going to lose everything. Our clients are jumping ship. She's like, look, if we have to strong arm them, then we will strong arm them. I don't give a damn, but I'm not taking Robert Zane's name down off that fucking wall. So I don't know how many of their clients are going to be able to keep. I know they've already lost quite a few. But I'm assuming that since Harvey gave up, he also not only did he give up those 10 clients, he also gave up an 11th client, which is one of his favorites. It was kind of a apology gesture from him to her, because 10 random clients for Harvey is no big deal, but a client that means a lot to him is a big deal. He's doing that not just to save the firm, but that was more of an apology gesture to Samantha to really tell her that he was sorry for lying to her and not being honest, and not being there for her when she needed someone. So at the end of the day, they managed to kind of hold things together like with 1,000 band-aids, but they've only just started. Like it's a long road to go yet to make sure that clients don't leave and that associates are still coming, especially with them refusing to take Robert Zane's name off the wall. So everybody leaves to go home. Harvey and Donna are at Mike and Rachel's old apartment. Now, I'm sure some of you were wondering what happens in Mike and Rachel's apartment when they moved to Seattle. Well, Mike gave the apartment to Harvey and told him to sublet it or sell it or rent it out. But he never did. He created a fake tenant, apparently, and has been paying rent on it himself. I guess he was hoping against hope that Mike and Rachel would change their minds and come back. And that's so sweet. But this is the moment where this is probably one of the best Darby scenes I think I've seen so far, where he explains to her why it was that he decided to show up on her doorstep. And it was just that he had just won this huge victory, but Robert had taken a fall. He should have felt happy that they were saved, but yet he felt empty. And that's when he realized that the only person he wanted to be with at that moment that could make him feel not empty, the only person that made him happy, that made him feel whole, The only place where he felt right was with her. He was just sorry it took him 12 years to see what was right in front of his face. That was the most ironic line I think has ever come out of Harvey Specter's mouth. That morning, when Lewis came over, he's like, he's a great lawyer. But how could he not see what's right in front of his face? Like, seriously? I'm all, oh, really, Harvey? Really? Really? Yeah, I don't think so. Et tu, Brute? Speak for yourself. That's the pot calling the kettle black, son. Only took you 12 years, didn't it, to see what was right in front of your stupid face. Anyhow, he tells her that, that this is where he wants to be and this is where he feels right. She gets him and he loves that about her. She's like, oh, you're gonna cry. I have a feeling that, he tells her that the name of the person of the fake tenant was Rick. It was the name of the associate who had failed to show up the morning that he first met Mike. Because if the guy had shown up, then Mike would not have been able to get in there. But the guy didn't show up, and that's when Mike ran in, and that's how they first met. Rick Sorkin. So he does have heart. I have this feeling that that's going to become their apartment sooner than later. That they're going to decide to move in together, and that's going to be their place. So they kiss, and that's this up here. I'm sorry if the background's messed up. This camera program is not very good. But after that, Lewis is the only one left in the office. And he's leaving. He's at the elevator bay. He's about to leave when the elevator doors open. And who do we see? Denise Crosby walks in, who we all know is playing Faye Richardson. She's a member of the bar. She's been sent there under their master's provision with the permission to completely take over the firm. Every case, every decision, everything will now go through her. And she is going to be watching every step, every move, and every move they make, every step they take, and every breath. And if they don't ship up, they're gonna have to ship out. At first, Lewis doesn't believe they have the right to do it, but she's like, oh no, we do. We told you this was gonna happen if you didn't fix your shit. So she presents him with some papers and he has to sign to acknowledge that she'll be taking over the firm. So next week, everybody else is going to meet Faye. And we're going to see how it's all going to work out. I have a feeling they showed a whole bunch of scenes from the episodes that were going to happen, like snippets here and there for the season, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. I can already tell you. She's not the enemy. Like, she's not trying to take over the firm. She's not trying to take them down or destroy them. She's already there. Her only goal is an ethical one, to make sure that they're practicing law ethically and that they're not doing shady shit, which means they're going to have to really step up their game and not do the stuff that they've been doing. It's going to be difficult because they're so used to doing things in a certain sort of way. So if they don't fix their shit, I don't know what to tell them. I know there was a scene there a little snippet where she told someone that they were fired. I've had this niggling suspicion the entire summer leading up to this that there's a distinct, in my mind, I think there was a possibility that at the end of this, Harvey might not be working there anymore. I don't know if that means he's going to be fired or if he's going to walk away himself, but I just have this feeling that he's going to feel like he doesn't need to be there anymore. That he's achieved what he wanted to achieve, and that it might be time, he might be ready to move on. Maybe that's just me, that's just my thought. But anyway, that is season 9, episode 1, everything has changed, and everything really, really has changed. Fortunately, the relationship between Harvey and Donna is strong. That's not going to change at all, although it will definitely be challenged because I have a feeling that Faye, she and Donna are gonna butt heads and don't think that she's not gonna come after Donna first, and because a lot of the stuff that they've had to deal with in the past is centered around Donna. From the memo, which really initially wasn't Donna's fault, to Liberty Rail, and now this. So yeah, there's a lot of everybody. Basically, there's going to be a magnifying glass on everybody. So we shall see how it pans out. All right, that is episode 1 of season 9. So we will come back. I will come back next week, probably next Thursday evening after episode 2. We will continue this throughout the rest of the summer. I was going to talk a little bit about Handmaid's Tale. The episode was kind of boring. It was very self-contained in one location, and not a lot happened. So, but anyway, all right, guys. Peace. I will see you next week. And before y'all click off, please support the channel. Link, subscribe. I will also be putting the link to my Patreon down there in the description. If you guys would like extra special stuffs, extra cool stuffs, please go onto my Patreon and support the channel. And you can get some extra cool stuff. You can get your name mentioned in the video. You can get the chance to watch the video before everybody else does, at least a day or two beforehand. And you can also suggest your own topic. Once I get around to doing the 80s topics, you can suggest to me your own topic. You can even suggest to me your own show. If you don't want to do an 80s topic, you want me to review something, I will be more than happy to review it. I can't necessarily promise that it's a show that I watch personally, but hey, I'll go for it. So please go ahead and hit me up on that Patreon. Click that link, that subscribe button, hit that bell so you can see what I am posting when I am posting it. Bye, guys.